So my presentation is really going to talk about those deliverables at an operations level, and also any challenges for anybody interested in sort of looking into this and implement it into their factories, what sort of challenges we saw as a case study and how we overcame those challenges. So I'll just start off by talking a little bit about Wealmoor. Berry Garden's presentation touched upon it lovely. We're quite similar. But we're a private-owned fresh food business with a deeply integrated growing operation. So we've got farms through to packing, which then will go onto the retailer shelves. We've been in business since 1973. And we have a focus management on key product areas. So whereas Berry Garden specialise in berries, we specialise in peas, beans, specialty veg, herbs, ingredients, fruits, plant-based snacks and prepared. And we're implementing this across 3 UK factories. A little bit of the Wealmoor way in terms of our pillars. So sustainability is at the heart of everything that we do. We've got a truly global supply chain. So we impact on lots of communities, people, planet and profit for purpose. And we believe in improving the lives of our workers, reducing our environmental impact and growing volume and maximising profits. And I'll move on to how this is going to help us do that within our pack house. I think it was Wayne's presentation. I'm going to focus on the sustainability, consumption and production patterns. But we worked to the UN Sustainability Development Goals. Everyone's in this room probably understands the commitment to net zero to 2040. We've touched upon it throughout the presentation. And this is how we're basing ourselves in terms of sustainability and improvements. So we have a target of net zero by 2040. And as I've said, this piece of equipment is going to help us. So a little bit about the operation of this. We're about a year into the implementation of this within our operation. And there's a number of deliverables away from energy that we've identified through our implementation of the system. So a little bit about how it looked before. James touched on it. The fresh produce industry was very paper-based, and it's a very manual operation. This system here allowed us to remove a significant amount of paperwork. So D+, every customer will have different specifications. We used to have wadges of sort of paperwork and give us a centralized technical database. And Jake touched upon it. The way that I explain is it's a technical owned system driven by operations. And this is where we're talking about the collaboration between all of the stakeholders to make it successful. It allows us to make sure we get the correct products. And why is that really important? Food waste really helps us drive down food waste. Correct date codes. We've probably all been in situations throughout the careers or heard about it where the wrong product's been packed or there's a packaging error. I think one of the leading recalls in the UK at the moment is around date coding errors or incorrect information on packaging. This allows us to control that and reduce the risk of that in the retail, which ultimately reduces food waste, because once a product's recalled off the shelves, you can't get it back, it goes in the bin. It allows us to, it ensures that we're using the right packaging all the time. So the system is very basic, it uses some scanners, and we've started integrating some 2D barcodes onto all of our packaging so that there's continuous scanning to make sure that the right packaging is being used in the right products. We took an example earlier. We have one particular product. There's 40 plus different SKUs of that product. So as a line operator, it can be really difficult sometimes to differentiate, but all of those 40 products will be in different packaging. And if you're trying to batch process from an operations perspective, there's a lot of changeovers, and James touched upon it earlier. The system allows us to continuously scan and make sure that we're using the right packaging, the correct ingredients at all times. It gives us structured QC. Testing regimes. So the system's more than just a scanner, checking that you've got the right packaging. It allows you to build in specific customer QC testing regimes. Every customer has a different expectation, and that allows you to maximize specifications and allows you to meet that customer spec all the time, every time, and ultimately reduce food waste that way as well. Control. Something we've found it helps us with massively is the control within the operations. So we've utilised a critical stop system. So if there is a error, let's say an error within the operation, it uses three systems, three levels. There's a red, so there's a critical error. It could be I've accidentally put the wrong film on the line and the system is looking for the correct barcode, and it will stop that line and ensure that no product goes out any further. There's an amber warning. This could be something such as a quality check, just not quite meeting that spec. It needs improvement. It gives you real-time data and allows you to make a correction there and then. Before it's too late at the end of the line, you can draw it right back. And then good, it allows you to just run and run and run. So before, as I said, completely paper-based system within our operation. All the paperwork's removed and been replaced with touchscreen PLCs. And as the team touched upon earlier, real-time performance monitoring. When I say it's a technically owned system, there's different levels within these systems. The technical team will put all of that information into the system, typically, in most businesses. That's customer specification, the exact requirements of that product. Operations own it by making sure that we're 100% within that specification all the time, every time. That reduces waste with product and with complaints and recalls. So what were our challenges in our case study? So we're a year into it now. We're doing well. It will be as good as the information that you put in it. Just like any system that is data driven, it's only as good as the information that you put in it. Attention to detail at the point of implementing these systems and making sure that the information you put into it is correct will allow you to progress smoothly into the operation. If it's wrong here, it can be catastrophic within the operation. End user resistance. This was quite a challenging one. We have in the food industry lots of different generations, so we've probably all come across it. The older generation, I've never used one of them, and then you've got the younger generation who will always want to use computers, and yes, we're getting rid of paperwork and we're going to computers. So if you're thinking of putting it into any of your factories, make sure that you take that into consideration and get geared up for that. Skill challenges, I think most presentations touched upon that. With any technology, you need a certain level of skill. It's allowed Wealmoor to upskill our staff, which ultimately has allowed us to retain staff much better. So you would need to consider that. It can be a resource crunch as well. So with any system, you've got to resource it properly from the beginning. To build the system, to make sure it's implemented into the factory properly, and also the cultural barrier as well. Changes to existing systems, we've all been there at operations level. There's probably operational people here. Oh, we've always done it this way. We've always done it like that. That change, making people buy into it, showing them the end goal and how it is going to help throughout their, not just their role, but the bigger picture in terms of energy, as we've talked about, and all of the wider considerations. Bringing them on that journey and making sure that they're with you on that is really, really important, because you need to get people's buy-in. James touched on it. If operations don't buy into it, you'll never get a good system. You won't get the data that you require to make significant changes within your business. And ownership, making sure the right people, the right staff are using it appropriately, is absolutely key as well. It's difficult putting something new into an operation, multiple projects, but making sure that your operators and your operations team are accountable and own that system as a new system can be a challenge as well. So there's another key consideration there. Yeah. Oh, you didn't know this, did you? So why did we choose OAL? And what have we found? Have we had any outcomes from it? So we had a case study. Factory produce labelling is product quality and labelling absolutely critical. Previously, we see a printer under here. For those at the back, sorry, there's a printer. How it looked before was a very paper-based system, and an operator would manually adjust a printer for a date code, for example. So they have a reference document. It's got a 5-day shelf life, and then they'd manually adjust it on a printer. That's how it looked before. What OAL has allowed us to do is build into the technical data that best before automatically. You just go to the computer and you select the job that you're doing. It will automatically interact with the printer. So as the team were talking about, this is now bringing all of our technology together, and it reduces errors. So they can't override and manually adjust date coding with this system. It just allows one date that the data has been put in, and that's why the data at the beginning, making sure that's absolutely bob on, is really important. We all know product recalls are damaging to the company reputation and also very costly. We installed the OAL system because of this issue. And since the installation 12 months ago, we have got cases where we've identified and prevented incorrect film being applied. We're all human, people make mistakes, but the system has been able to identify when there's been human error, and we've been able to correct it before that gets out to the wider business. That prevents food waste and, as I've said, reputation as well.